Well, last week, Virginia voters narrowly approved a referendum that will allow the state's congressional map to be redrawn ahead of the 2026 midterms, a move that could have handed the Democrats as many as 4 additional seats in the House. Republicans immediately challenged the measure in court, arguing the process used to place it on the ballot violated Virginia's Constitution and bypassed proper legal safeguards. A circuit court judge blocked the state from certifying the results, and the Virginia Supreme Court has declined to lift that hold, at least for now. Here to discuss is the executive director at American Principles Project, Anthony LaBruna. Anthony, nice to see you today. It's a big setback for the Democrats who were doing victory laps last Tuesday. Slow your roll, boys and girls, because it's not there yet. And in fact, it says there has to be an intervening election, my understanding in Virginia, for something to make it onto the ballot. The election was already underway. Early voting was already happening. How do you even argue that? What is your standing?
Well, you just look at the language that was used on the ballot, right? So there's 2 arguments in front of the Virginia Supreme Court. One being the language on the ballot, and 2 being following the Constitution of the state of Virginia in the process to put it on the ballot. I got to serve at the Department of Commerce that handles the U.S. Department of Census for drawing these maps, doing redistricting. And so they set the population. And so what Virginia has done is completely illegal. It's not going to pass judiciary muster. And so with what's happened today with Louisiana, it's a very good sign for the state of Virginia that we're going to push back on these 10 congressional maps that they've drawn in favor 9-1 for Democrats. So that's the ruling today with Louisiana is very promising for the state of Virginia. And Virginia and all the members like Congressman Ben Cline and Congressman McGuire have another day where they can fight to maintain their seats. So it's very optimistic after today's ruling.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Now, we know that the Virginia Supreme Court, very left of center, it's possible they could come in and give this their blessing at some point, but they haven't. And that's a good sign that it won't make it either. But let's go for the sake of argument. If it gets past the Virginia Supreme Court and they say, yes, certify the election, we're going to go forward with these new districts, making it a 10-1 state, is there a play to the United States Supreme Court, which has made their position pretty clear?
Well, I think with Republicans in Virginia, they're not going to just lie down and lose, 9 congressional Republican seats here. They're going to fight and get it pushed to the Supreme Court. Now, it's up to the Supreme Court if they're going to hear it. But, with the ruling today, this is giving Republicans the fighting chance. The deep state has put the Republican states across the country from Florida, Texas, they've been able to outmaneuver us on this, and they've been doing it for the last 50 years. We're just catching up here and being able to play the same game they've been playing. We've seen the deep state manipulate the data in the Census Department and preventing California, Illinois, and New York from losing seats, right, and maintaining a stronghold on the Electoral College for Democrats in those states. So going forward, we're going to see that opportunity where Virginia, if the Virginia Supreme Court rules and lifts it and certifies the vote and the redistricting of the maps, you're going to see the opportunity for Virginians to file suit and see if the Supreme Court will hear it. And, with what happened again today, I think there's a very strong likelihood of that happening.
Yeah, there's also a very big question now with the ruling today about California's redistricting, because it's pretty clear there they used race as part of their determining factor for new districts in California. Wouldn't it be something if the Democrats lost their battle in California, lost their battle in Virginia, but the Texas map holds, the Florida map holds, Missouri's map holds? Boy, they'd be on the wrong end of. That's why their heads are exploding all over social media today, Anthony, if I'm not mistaken. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you look at what happened on the House floor in Florida. They're screaming from a microphone. They don't have an answer to this. They've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And so going forward, what I see with both California, with Virginia, Republicans have the fighting chance, but we have the upper hand here, right, with the ruling.
Yeah.
There's a potential that we can pick up 10 to 15 seats if California and Virginia go our way. We pick up Florida, we pick up Alabama. So there's a likelihood we're talking, 20 seat swing in the House.
Yeah, it's really critical. As I tell people oftentimes, I'll tell my Democrat friends, be careful what you wish for and what you try to pull off, because you might just lose. Anthony, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.